How's life?
How's life? Life is good.
Yeah?
I think life is good. Life is better than last week.
Okay. All right. So we're going to start off. We're starting right
life.
in. Our tradition now.
It's a tradition.
The second time, now it's tradition.
Yeah, because when you do something repeatedly, we call it tradition.
So we're going to rate our week 1 to 10.
Okay.
And I went first last time, so you're going first this time.
I'll go first this time.
How is life?
Okay. Life, I'm going to rate it. I would rate my week or the last 7 days at an 8.
Oh. Okay.
I would. I know.
8?
Is that presumptuous of me?
That's good. That's
To
it. Now,
rate it
first
8?
time. This is the first time we're hearing our numbers. So 8.
So yeah, 8.
Why an 8?
I feel like there's been some rough patches, but coming out of those rough moments has actually been good.
Yeah.
It's actually been kind of good.
Yeah. Okay. I like that.
I mean, we can go into it in a few minutes, but
You know,
I want you to rate your week before.
It's going to be kind of unusual to think that that's
into-
an 8 for you because I know what those rough patches were. Because
Yes.
I was involved in those rough patches.
Yeah, you were.
A tiny
you were.
bit.
A little bit.
I was a participant.
Yes. So,
All right.
where's your
so
week? Rate your week.
Yeah. So how's my life? I would say the last 7 days.
Yeah.
I'd say around a 6 or 7.
Okay.
I'm gonna go 6 point.
Okay.
I'm gonna go 6.75.
6 point, which is lower than last week.
It is some rough patches. Also, I've been just tired. I just felt.
We need to get you some sleep.
I just felt tired. I've been waking up some during the night, not sleeping as good. I'm just tired, I think.
Hey.
I tried running today. It was brutal. So yes, I'm going to go 6.75.
I don't know why you feel the need to go into decimals. If you just go whole numbers,
I like to
then
be
you
very
could just
specific.
have a whole number.
I like to be specific about my life. Okay, I'm
Okay.
sorry. I'm sorry that I want to
Okay.
be honest in my assessment of my life.
Okay.
So I'm 6.75. You're an 8 this week, which means in your experience, you felt like you had a better week.
Yes.
But I think it kind of like, we're going to rate things on a different scale.
Yeah, we assess it differently.
I'm more emotional, and so for me, I might have more feelings tied to
And I'm
my
more
rating.
practical, so practical things.
like if there's a good outcome.
If there's a good outcome, I can feel pretty good.
Okay. All right. So we were thinking about what we wanted to kind of share for
Yes.
these few minutes today for this week's episode. And we were thinking about a passage of scripture.
It's where Paul talks about how he will boast in his weakness.
Yeah.
I will boast all the more my weakness.
Yeah, we've been talking about it
His
in like
power is made
small group
perfect in our
stuff,
weakness.
and we've been talking about that passage a lot and
Yes.
thinking about it.
It's really been hitting home with
And
me.
one of the real desires we had with even starting to do this, I mean, this is weird for us.
It is kind of weird.
I mean, it's weird. We talked about it in the past, but it's like, I was like, I'm never doing this. No way.
Yeah, right.
I'm definitely not.
Never say never.
One of the motivations was a desire just to be honest and
Yeah.
authentic. And then as we're looking at that passage, there's a value in just boasting about our weak spots.
Our weaknesses, things that we struggle with, hardship, whatever it is.
So
it's our everyday life.
Our rough spots this week involved, we had a couple arguments. Is arguments the right word? What would you call
Disagreements. We saw things differently.
Points of tension.
Points of tension. However you want to assess that situation.
I feel like the longer we've been married, which is we're at 18 years right now.
Yeah.
But the longer we've been married, the less we have maybe what would be called an argument, like where you're both going at each other at the same time.
Yes.
It's more like one of us is mad or irritated.
Yeah. An offense has happened.
Yeah. And then the other person just kind of like absorbs it, sort of. And then we try to
Well,
process
that's for us. That may not be for everybody else.
No, but that's kind of how we operate.
That's just our experience.
Yeah. So our one kind of bigger moment would have been Saturday. So I want to share kind of how we process that because I feel like it was a major part of our week, It
was. It was a major part of our tension.
Yeah,
and that was I would like to admit that I was the main culprit in that tension.
Interesting.
So I don't want to give all the details on the
we
situation.
don't need to. So here's the deal. It wasn't that much of a thing. Anyways, enough about that because I was definitely. And here's how it typically works for us. When LaToya, the rare time she actually does something wrong.
I love that.
Here's how it works.
Really nice.
She does something wrong. Now I am a way bigger feeler, emotional than
you have
than
all the feels. I'm more like practical, critical thinking.
She does something
no
wrong.
emotion involved. We're just keeping the emotions in the back burner.
I lose my mind.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I am just all these emotions. I feel like everything is wrong.
Feels.
Right? This is kind of like
feels.
the 18-year version of me. Like
Yes.
over the years
you've changed, but yes,
everything is wrong.
Everything is.
You always do this.
Always.
You don't even love me. What's
Never.
the point of this? I was trying and you just hurt me so bad. And then
Okay, first of all, let me just say this. He's never said, you don't even love me.
Okay, but
I think that sounds funny.
I'm being a little dramatic. Oh, which fits the story.
Wow, that fits.
So basically, I overreact. Typically, you do something, I then would overreact.
Yes.
And then the worst moments, the things I hate the most, is when it started with you doing something wrong.
Right.
And at the end of it,
done the offense. I'm totally wrong.
And at the end of it, I'm apologizing.
Yeah.
And it would make me crazy.
But you'd only have to apologize because the emotions built up so much that it's just like a fire hose.
Stupid things.
Is it a fire hose would be a good way to say that. But
all right, so
we've grown a lot.
And we have. And we,
but this week it was my doing.
But it went a lot better.
It went a lot
better in the
which is nice.
end. I mean, we had a few hours of like kind of just a little, like there's just a tension that's still there.
Yeah.
And then finally I'm like, hey, we need to talk.
Let's talk about this.
Which is always exciting. Well, like especially when I say, hey, babe, we need to talk.
Can't wait.
You always are so excited about it.
I'm so eager to talk.
But we want to just share it because honestly, there is something that's so helpful for us. We were taught this in our premarital counseling.
Yeah.
And I would say we have, at an increasing measure, learned to actually do it when we need it.
Yes. It has become essential to our marriage.
Yeah.
Ever since the first day that we
which is
we heard it.
It's called reflective listening. But before you even get there, honestly, like as we've grown, and something that's helpful for us, whether it's in friendship, relationships, or with our kids, or with one another, or whatever it might be, is when there's something there, stop acting like it isn't.
Right.
Like otherwise, you're just gonna keep on. I'm just gonna keep on being a little bit mean to you.
Yeah.
You know, and
I'll keep on just being a little bit avoiding.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna avoid
checking out, shutting down.
Yeah.
And it's just gonna stay there.
It still stays. It doesn't like hide somewhere. It's still there.
All right. So then we sat down and then we did this thing called reflective listening. And so this is the main point that we wanted to share is like, this is really helpful for us because I am so emotional. And so basically how it went was like, I sat down and look, y'all can tell. I got words. I've got all the words all the time.
But you're supposed to limit the amount of time you're speaking so the person can hear and understand. If you say too much, then they'll just lose bits and pieces because so much is said. So we kept it.
I sat down. I said, look.
Just a few minutes.
Here is how I am feeling.
Yeah.
All right. And that's been really helpful.
Absolutely.
Not so much you did this and this and this and this and this and you meant to do this.
Right.
But like, look, I'm feeling like this and this because of these things that happen. And this is why I'm feeling this way. And then it's give you space.
I have an opportunity to hear what he's saying and take it in because it's his feeling. And then I get an opportunity to repeat back to him what I heard him say.
In less words. Always less words. It's got to be less words.
It is less words because I just can't say it all and I can't remember it all. And I want to get the gist, the meat of the conversation. I want to get that out. And so once I've said that to you, then he gets to assess whether or not it came through clearly. So if I repeat it to you and you're like, oh, that was the point that I wanted to get across, then it's my turn to go.
It's like, okay, I might have been the one that I feel upset. And in my mind is like, well, this is all your fault. And I'm the only one hurt. So why would I need to hear from you?
Right.
But it's proved to be very helpful for them to say, wait, well, hold on though. From your perspective, what is it that you want to tell me? Did I do something that hurt you? Did I do how I responded? And then you talk to me.
Yeah. And so this back and forth creates this space of being able to validate a person's feelings and hear what they have to say and kind of grow together. Because without you even realizing it, you could have offended or hurt someone. And
we weren't happy when the conversation was done.
No,
right?
but I did feel better. And for people like me, this creates an opportunity for me to talk about my feelings. A lot of times I just want to overlook them, push past them, just go on with life, do something practical. But this creates an opportunity for me to use my words to express how I'm feeling and think about that.
Yeah,
so it's really helpful.
We've been talking about reconciliation a lot lately with like our church community and just thinking about the idea of reconciliation.
Yeah, reconciling to one another.
It's so important. And I feel like, I don't know what you think. Like, when I look at what's going on like in our culture or in the world right now, the inability to actually have a conversation where I say, this hurt me. What you said hurt me. The inability to then work towards reconciling without needing, like you and I didn't have to have the same viewpoint on that whole interaction. We just both needed to be heard and valued. And then whatever sin was there, just own it.
Yeah, right? Just own it. And then now how do we work from here to here?
Yeah,
in all our relationships in life, I think it's really important to have the tough conversations, to have the dialogue, because then you get an opportunity to grow together. And like I was saying about 2 Corinthians 12, how Paul says, I'll boast in my weakness. Actually, it's a way to show the power of Christ. And so if I've done something wrong, I think it's okay to say, hey, I own that. I've done something wrong. And so we get to grow together because I've admitted that and I've owned it, and you've allowed me to be reconciled to you. We're reconciling to each other. So it's a really good feeling.
That's so good.
It's Christ.
Yeah, that's got me thinking, like, that's what the gospel does, right?
Yeah.
When I got to the point that I was totally fine with recognizing I probably sinned. Yeah. And it's okay. Not that I don't want to sin, but I'm not surprised to find out that, oh yeah, I sinned against you.
Yeah.
I lost my temper. I was selfish. I was prideful.
I ignored you.
Inconsiderate. Whatever. Yeah.
Could be anything.
Once I got to where I recognized the gospel would tell me that I'm going to continue to need God's grace.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to need grace from the people I'm around as well.
Yeah.
And so therefore, I'm not going to be so defensive about admitting, you know what? That was my weakness showing.
Yeah.
I was selfish and I'm sorry. And I'm going to work on changing that. There's a lot of people debating.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I want to get you to agree with me.
And within churches.
And if you don't.
That same type of
debate.
And
in relationships and all these fractured relationships. But I think learning how to actually have a dialogue is huge.
Yeah.
And that's been a big deal for us with one another.
Yeah.
With our kids.
Yes, because when you get kids in the mix, you still have to do the same things with your kids. We have a 15-year-old, a 13-year-old, 11-year-old, and a 7-year-old. And you still have an opportunity to do reflective listening with them, being able to hear them. And
with our friends, our people we do ministry stuff with, I mean, everybody. All your best relationships are going to be built through the resolving a conflict. Yeah, reconciling through pain.
Absolutely. It's really, really tough. Reconciling and being humble and exposing your weaknesses. It's a really tough thing to do, but it's so God that you do that, and it's a benefit to those around you, and it's so freeing to you.
So yeah, that's our week. How's life? It's about a combined total of 14.75.
Yeah. Oh my
but
gosh.
You know
Round
what?
To a whole
After
number.
this conversation, spending time with my best friend.
Oh Lord.
I'm gonna round mine up to 7. We're at a 15 combined.
15 combined.
And that's how life is. Yeah. And it included a little bit of arguments,
and
some discussions.
Weaknesses.
Yeah, exactly.
And not fun things, but
we will boast all the more gladly in the things that make us look weak. So the power of Christ will be seen in us. Right?
Amen.
Yeah, preaching that stuff.
So I hope that encourages all of you to boast in your weakness and pursue reconciliation.
Well, hey.
All right. See you guys.
All right, bye.